Stop. Right now. Before you swipe, before you skip, check your pocket now. Because the coins sitting in your change jar, the ones you almost tossed into a vending machine this morning, could be hidden wealth. I'm talking silent fortune. Nobody talks about these. Collectors are fighting over them in private auctions, while the rest of America is casually spending them. And today on US MintX, I'm exposing the top 3 most valuable ultra-rare wheat pennies, Monticello Jefferson nickels, and Washington quarters that look completely ordinary. But these coins change everything. Do not spend these coins. The first one is shocking. The second is rarer. And the last coin, real auction shock. You need to stay till the end, because what you're about to see could be the most expensive mistake of your life. Coin number 1. I need you to imagine this. A dark, almost dirty-looking penny. Black spots, grey patches. Nothing shiny, nothing flashy. The kind of coin you'd reject at a gas station because it looks old. Now imagine someone paying $384,000 for that exact coin. This is not fiction. This is the 1,941 wheat penny, no mint mark, and most people miss it because it doesn't look valuable. In fact, it looks like the opposite. And that's exactly why it's dangerous. If you've ever dumped a handful of pennies into a Coinstar machine without looking, you might have thrown away a silent fortune. Let's talk about why this specific year matters, because 1941 wasn't just another random year in American history. The United States was standing on the edge of World War II. Economic pressure was rising. Metal demand was climbing. The nation was preparing for something massive. Even before Pearl Harbor, factories were running harder. Materials were being evaluated. Production demands were increasing. And when pressure rises at the US Mint, mistakes happen. Variations happen. Quality shifts. That's where this penny was born. The 1,941 wheat penny, officially called the Lincoln Wheat Cent, features President Abraham Lincoln on the front, designed by Victor D. Brenner. You'll see Lincoln's profile facing right, "In God We Trust," arching over his head, "Liberty" on the left, and the date 1941 on the right. But here's the part most people overlook. There is no mint mark under the date. That means it was struck in Philadelphia. Now normally, Philadelphia pennies in 1941 aren't rare. Millions were made. But here's the twist. Under wartime production stress, certain dies wore down differently. Certain planchets reacted differently, and a small number of coins developed unique surfaces, darkened, uneven toning, black and grey spotting, that weren't damage. They were chemical fingerprints of the era. Collectors obsess over this. Because original, untouched black and grey toning from the early 1940s tells a story. It proves the coin hasn't been cleaned, hasn't been stripped, hasn't been polished by someone trying to make it shiny. And I need to say this clearly. Never clean this coin. If you wipe it, dip it, polish it, you destroy the very thing that makes it valuable. Cleaning erases history. It kills original toning. It can turn a 6-figure silent fortune into pocket change. This coin is 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. It weighs 3.11 grams. Diameter, 19.05 millimeters. Thickness, about 1.52 millimeters. Small, light, ordinary feeling. That's what makes this terrifying. Because you're holding something barely thicker than a credit card, with a smooth girth that fits between your fingers, and it could be worth more than a house. Flip it over. 2 wheat stalks frame the words 1 cent and United States of America. At the top, E pluribus unum. Simple, agricultural, classic American design. Nothing screams rare, but collectors don't look at it casually. They examine the strike sharpness in Lincoln's hair. They check the spacing in the date. They study the rim thickness. They inspect the wheat lines for full detail. They obsess over surface originality. And those black and grey spots you thought were ugly? If they're natural oxidation from decades of aging, that antique, uneven patina, that's where the magic lives. Most people see dirt. Collectors see untouched history. Now let's talk survival. Pennies were heavily circulated in the 1940s. They bought bread, gas, war bonds, candy. Most were worn down, scratched, cleaned, or melted later when copper prices rose. Finding one today in very nice original condition, especially with authentic dark toning, is rare. Finding one graded professionally in high condition with untouched surfaces, that's where serious money begins. Professional grading is critical. PCGS or NGC certification separates a $5 coin from a life-changing opportunity. Without grading, it's just a story. With grading, it's a documented treasure. And here's what's happening right now in the market. Collectors are not casually buying these. They are competing. Quietly, aggressively. At auction, when a premium 1941 no mint mark wheat penny with exceptional original surfaces appears, bidding starts slow, calm, controlled. Then something shifts. Two collectors realize it's special, and the numbers jump. 5 figures, 6 figures, higher, because demand is rising and supply is shrinking. The best examples are being locked away in private collections. Held, not sold. That's how hidden wealth works. It disappears from circulation, and what remains becomes even more valuable. Today, one extraordinary example reached $384,000. Let that sink in. $384,000 for a 1-cent coin people ignore every day. Do not spend this coin. If you find a 1941 wheat penny with no mint mark, here's what to check first. Originality of surface. Look for natural toning, not bright orange shine. Examine the wheat lines on the reverse. Check Lincoln's jaw and hair for sharpness. Avoid scratches, rim dents, or cleaning hairlines. Most people destroy value by trying to improve the look. Patience creates wealth. Darkness is not damage. Age is not ugly. Original is everything. And here's the emotional truth collectors won't say out loud. They want this coin because it represents America on the brink. The calm before the storm of World War II. It's a copper time capsule from the last full year before the nation changed forever. Holding it feels like holding tension in metal form. That emotional weight, that story, that's why they fight for it. You could be holding a fortune and not even know it. Stay with me, because what comes next is even bigger. The next coin on this list makes this penny look common. It's rarer, it's more misunderstood. And if you think people are accidentally spending wheat pennies, wait until you see what they're doing with this next coin. Don't go anywhere. Next up, you see this nickel? Be honest. If it's brown, a little wavy on the surface, maybe dull instead of shiny, you're probably tossing it into a tip jar without even thinking. That's the mistake. Because one specific 1960D Jefferson nickel, with what collectors call brown waves across the surface, has sold for $299,000. For 5 cents. This is not hype. This is not exaggeration. And this is absolutely something people are accidentally spending. So lean in. Because this 1960D Monticello Jefferson nickel is one of the quietest hidden fortunes in modern American coinage, and most people miss it completely. First, let's step into 1960. America was in transition. The post-war boom was reshaping everything. Suburbs expanding. Cold War tension building. The space race heating up. Industry was moving fast, and the US Mint was under pressure to produce massive quantities of coinage to fuel a rapidly growing economy. The Denver Mint, that tiny D mint mark on this coin, was striking nickels by the hundreds of millions. But here's where it gets interesting. High production pressure creates stress. Dies wear out faster. Metal planchets aren't always perfect. Subtle variations start slipping through, and most people don't notice until decades later. The 1960D Jefferson nickel looks ordinary at first glance. On the front, the obverse, you see Thomas Jefferson facing left. His profile is calm, presidential, composed. In God we trust, curves along the left side. Liberty and the date 1960 cite on the right. And just to the right of Monticello, on the reverse, that small but powerful D. That tiny letter changes everything. Flip the coin. The reverse shows Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia estate, detailed in straight architectural lines. A pluribus unum at the top. United States of America and 5 cents below. Simple, structured, unassuming. But here's what makes this coin different. Collectors discovered that under intense dye fatigue in Denver during 1960-some coins developed unusual surface flow patterns, subtle wave-like textures in the metal. These brown waves are not damage. They're not corrosion. They're the result of microscopic metal displacement during striking. It's mint stress frozen in time. Under light, these nickels show flowing, almost rippling fields, especially around Jefferson's cheek and in the open areas near Monticello. To the average person, it looks like a dirty old nickel. To a collector, it's a fingerprint of rarity. Now let's talk physical reality. This coin weighs 5.0 grams. Diameter, 21.21 millimeters. Thickness, 1.95 millimeters. It has a smooth edge, no reading. Its girth fills your fingertips just slightly larger than a penny. It feels solid, dense, industrial. Composition, 75% copper, 25% nickel. That copper content is key. Over decades, copper reacts. It tones. It darkens. It develops deep brown coloration, especially when stored in original rolls or old containers. But here's the difference between ugly and valuable. Original toning versus environmental damage. Original brown waves are even, organic, flowing with the metal's structure. Corrosion is rough, pitted, random. Most people cannot tell the difference, which is why they either clean it or ignore it. And listen carefully. Never clean this coin. If you polish it to make it shiny, you erase the flow lines. You destroy the surface integrity. You wipe away the very detail that makes it worth serious money. Cleaning can drop a 6-figure nickel to face value instantly. Do not spend this coin. Do not clean this coin. Do not assume dull equals worthless. Now here's where survival becomes important. Nickels circulate heavily. They're durable, yes, but they're used constantly. Vending machines, parking meters, grocery stores. Decades of handling. Most 1960D nickels were worn smooth. Bag marks, scratches, banking damage. Finding one today in very good condition, with visible brown wave flow patterns, untouched, original, is rare. Finding one certified by a professional grading service with documented dye flow characteristics, that's where auction houses start paying attention. Professional grading is critical. Without it, you're guessing. With it, you're protecting hidden wealth. Collectors fixate on tiny details: the clarity of Jefferson's hair above the ear, the sharpness of Monticello's steps, the strength of the D mint mark, the smoothness of the fields around the portrait, and most importantly, the presence of uninterrupted wave turning across the surface. This detail changes everything. Because these wave patterns show the coin was struck during peak die fatigue, a narrow production window, which means limited supply. And supply keeps shrinking. Here's something most people don't realize. High-end collectors don't just want shiny coins. They want story coins. They want mint-era adjacent anomalies. They want stress marks from American industrial history. They want pieces of the Cold War economy they can physically hold. The 1960D brown wave nickel represents that era's production intensity. That emotional connection, it drives demand. At auction, when one of these premium examples appears, bidding behavior shifts. It starts calm. Then two specialists recognize the wave strength. And suddenly, the room tightens. Bids climb aggressively. Quiet collectors who've been waiting years jump in. Because they know something most people don't. These coins are disappearing. Locked away. Slabbed. Stored. Held, not sold. That's how silent fortune works. The best examples vanish from the market, and what's left becomes more valuable. One exceptional 1960D brown wave nickel reached $299,000. For 5 cents. You could have this sitting in a jar right now. Check your pocket now. Look at your nickels. Look for 1960th. Look for that small D tilted under light. Search for flowing brown surface waves, not random stains. And if you think you found one, do not spend this coin. Handle it by the edges. Store it in a non-PVC holder and get it professionally graded before you do anything else. Most people lose fortunes by impatience. They assume. They clean. They trade it for a soda. Patience creates wealth. This is hidden treasure hiding in plain sight. And here's the scary part. What I'm about to show you next makes this nickel look almost easy to find. The next coin on this list is rarer, more explosive, and collectors are fighting harder for it than anything we've covered so far. If you thought accidentally spending a 5-cent coin worth $299,000 was shocking, wait until you see what's coming next. If I told you that the dirtiest, most ignored quarter in your car cup holder could be worth $269,000, would you believe me? I'm not talking about a shiny proof locked in a velvet case. I'm talking about a 1964 Washington quarter, no mint mark, gray, black, brown, old, circulated, maybe even grimy. The kind you'd hand to a cashier without a second thought. And that's exactly why this coin is so dangerous. Because in 1964, America changed its money forever. And most people have no idea what that means. Let's rewind. 1964 was chaos for US coinage. Silver prices were climbing. The public realized coins contained real precious metal. People began hoarding. Banks were short on change. The government panicked. The Coinage Act of 1965 was coming, and it would remove silver from circulating quarters. That makes 1964 the last year Washington quarters were struck in 90% silver for everyday use. Read that again. Last year, real silver, before everything changed. Now, imagine the production pressure at the Philadelphia Mint, which is where your no mint mark 1964 quarter was struck. Millions upon millions were produced to fight the shortage. Under that stress, Dies wore down. Strikes varied. Planchets fed through at high speed. Subtle differences formed. And hidden among the sea of ordinary silver quarters, a small group survived in a way collectors obsess over. The coin itself, let's hold it in your mind. Diameter, 24.3 millimeters. Thickness, 1.75 millimeters. Weight, 6.25 grams. Reeded edge, those tiny ridges around the side. Solid, heavy, cold, and that weight feels different because it is different. Composition, 90% silver, 10% copper. Not clad, not layered. Solid silver alloy. That's why when you drop it on a table, it rings differently than modern quarters. Now picture the obverse, George Washington facing left. Strong profile. In God we trust to the left. Liberty arching above. The date, 1964, beneath. No mint mark below the wreath on the reverse. That absence matters. Philadelphia coins of this era didn't carry a mint mark, and collectors study them intensely because certain die states from Philly show characteristics Denver coins don't. Flip it over. An eagle with wings spread wide. Arrows clutched in its talons. Olive branches beneath. United States of America Anton $quarter circling the rim. It looks patriotic, bold, powerful. But here's where things get interesting. You told me this coin is gray, black, and brown. Old, dirty, circulated. Most people would think that lowers value. But sometimes, that darkness is the proof. Silver tones over time. It reacts with air, with paper envelopes, with cloth bank bags, with decades of storage. Natural toning forms layers of gray, charcoal, deep brown, sometimes even nearly black surfaces. Collectors call it original skin. An original skin is sacred. If that toning formed naturally over 60 years, undisturbed, uncleaned, it proves the coin hasn't been tampered with. Which brings me to something critical. Never clean this coin. I don't care how dirty it looks. I don't care if you think it would shine up nice. The second you polish silver, you create hairlines, micro scratches. You strip away decades of natural oxidation. And once that original surface is gone, it is gone forever. Cleaning can turn a six-figure silent fortune into a $25 silver melt piece. Do not spend this coin. Do not clean this coin. Now let's talk rarity. Yes, millions of 1,964 quarters were minted. But here's what most people miss. Most were heavily circulated during the silver rush. People hoarded rolls. Others melted bags when silver spiked in the late 1970s. Many were damaged. Many were cleaned by people who thought shiny meant better. Finding one today in old circulated condition, but with strong detail, natural toning, and no cleaning, is far rarer than the mintage suggests. Collectors look for sharp hair detail above Washington's ear, clear separation in the eagle's feathers, strong rim definition, minimal flatness on high points, and most importantly, uninterrupted original toning patterns. The gray-black-brown combination can signal long-term envelope storage or old canvas bank bag aging. That's history embedded in silver. Now imagine this scenario. An estate sale, a forgotten coin jar, a grandfather's toolbox. Inside, a dark, heavy quarter dated 1964. Most heirs dump it at the bank. But one person checks. One person weighs it, 6.25 grams. One person listens to the silver ring. One person notices the original toning. That's how hidden wealth is discovered. Professional grading is critical here. A coin like this must be authenticated and evaluated by PCGS or NGC. They determine whether the toning is natural. They confirm surface originality. They assign a grade that separates ordinary from extraordinary. Without grading, you're guessing. With grading, you're protecting a life-changing opportunity. And let's talk market behavior. When high-quality original 1964 no mint mark quarters with exceptional natural toning appear at auction, something strange happens. Silver collectors show up. Toning collectors show up. Washington series specialists show up. Different worlds collide. The bidding isn't loud at first. It's strategic. Then someone recognizes the surface integrity. And suddenly, the numbers climb. 5 figures. 6 figures. And in one documented case, $269,000. For a quarter, 25 cents. That's the definition of silent fortune. And here's the emotional core of this coin. 1964 represents the end of an era. The last circulating 90% silver quarter before America shifted to clad coinage, before intrinsic metal value disappeared from daily money. Collectors don't just want silver. They want the last breath of silver currency. They want the moment before the transition. They want history you can feel in your palm. That's why they hold them. And they don't let go easily. Supply keeps shrinking. Demand keeps rising. Most people miss this. They see dirt. They see wear. They see old change. Collectors see the end of silver America. So here's what you do. Check every 1964 quarter. Look for no mint mark. Weigh it. Tilt it under light. Study the surfaces for natural gray, black, brown toning. Avoid coins with bright, unnatural shine. Handle only by the edges. Patience creates wealth. If you think you've found one with strong detail and untouched surfaces, get it graded before you speak to anyone about selling. Because you might be holding $269,000 and not even realize it. This is not fiction. This is hidden treasure hiding in plain sight. And if this quarter shocked you, imagine what else is sitting in circulation right now, waiting for someone patient enough to look. Keep checking, because the next discovery might be in your pocket.